Good morning, students. Today we will start discussing another kind of memory, that is static read-write memory or static RAM circuits. In the previous video, we have discussed about DRAM. So let's discuss this particular kind of memory. So read-write memory circuits are designed to permit the modification of data bits to be stored in the memory array as well as their retrieval on demand. We know this thing about read-write memory. Another thing is your memory circuit is called static if we are actually storing the data that can be retained indefinitely and without any periodic refresh operation. So that is the problem with your DRAM. In DRAM, we need a periodic refresh because after every cycle, your data is being contaminated or read operation is destructive. Then the circuit structure and the operation of simple SRAM cells, as well as the peripheral circuits designed to read and write the data. So this is what we are going to discuss. That we are going to discuss a SRAM cell as well as its peripheral structure through which your entire process is being done. So your static random access memory, these are certain points related to your SRAM. Stored data can be retained indefinitely. Indefinitely means unless power is there. If power is there, it will be retained here, but no periodic refresh is being required in this case. Second thing is, it is consisting of simple latch with two stable operating points and two access switch to connect 1-bit SRAM. Then we can say polyresistor load inverter structure is more compact cell, this one, and another one is you're using load resistance. So this we have already discussed. This is your polyresistor resistance. This basically how your SRAM is being created. That is very important. So here you can see one is bit line C, another is bit line C bar. So when this particular switch is being closed, what happens? Data can be written into the cell or data can be read from the cell. So that is a different thing. We will be discussing about that, how you are actually going to read or write the data. So when these switches are closed, suppose 1 is there, 0 is there. So 0 is going to as input of this. So your output will be 1 and 1 is giving you output as 0. So that means this particular state of your system is actually being latched. Now, these inverters can be implemented with 3 different configurations. This we have already discussed when we are actually discussing CMOS inverters. What are the various ways in which your data can be retained in the form of charge at the inverters? So this is one node. This is another node. So in this particular SRAM, data is being stored at the nodes in the form of Q and Q bar. Now next thing is, this particular inverter can be realized. This is your polyresistor load. That means we want to be smaller area, then we are using polyresistor load, but there are certain problems that are associated with polyresistor load. You already know that accuracy is one of the issue and area is another issue. Also, the same thing can be implemented with the help of a resistor, but again when you are actually using the resistance, then you are having the problem of low power, wider noise margin and high speed. So these things need to be considered. So these are the 3 different kinds of representation. This is symbolic representation of SRAM. This is generic topology for SRAM, and this is resistive load SRAM. Now, when you are actually going into the read-write memory circuits SRAM, there are certain points that is of importance. The data storage, the 1-bit memory cell in static RAM arrays is actually being done in the form of simple latch with 2 super stable operating points. So this I have already discussed when we actually discussing your sequential circuits, that this is one state of your inverter and this is another state of inverter. So this particular state is stable point, this is stable point, while this is unstable point. So your system will not remain in this particular point for very long. Either it will settle on this position or at this position, depending upon the impetus, which is leading it towards 0 or 1. But in the end, we are making our system to be stable at either 1 or 0, depending on the type of the inverter. So here we are actually using two inverters. So they are being stable either at 1 or 0, depending upon the type of inputs. That is being decided by the bit lines. Second thing is, depending upon the preserved state of the two inverter latch circuit, the data being held in the memory will be interpreted either as 0 or 1. So that is another issue, that how you are going to actually assess the data, that we are going to discuss in the coming slides, that what is the preserved state in the node and how you are actually going to interpret it. Third thing is, to access data, that means either you are going to read or write the data from the memory cell. So that is being done with the help of bit line. So switch is being there, so and which is controlled by the corresponding row address selection signal. So we have already discussed in the previous videos that you are having rows and columns, and in that you are having a particular memory cell here. So you are going to select the particular cell in the memories. Suppose this cell is to be selected, then this row, this column is to be selected, so that this particular cell is being selected, and accordingly you will read or write the data. So this is your symbolic representation of a two inverter latch circuit with an access switch. So you are just connecting these switches, and then you will write some data here and then open the switches. So this data will remain here unless otherwise altered. Okay. So this is one representation. So this is another representation. Here your switch is being actually replaced by pass transistor, and how you are actually turn on or turn off the switch, that is with the help of gate of the pass transistor. So if you are applying a particular signal on the gate of the transistor, then this particular switch is turning on, and then when your switch is being turned on, there is a connection between bit line and this particular node, and then accordingly contents of the node will be altered. So the difference between SRAM and DRAM is, in DRAM you are storing charge in the form of capacitor. Here charge is being stored at the nodes, and this particular transistor is called access transistor because it will give you access so that data can be read from this particular point or data can be written to this particular point using this particular access transistor. So you are having two nodes, this is Q, this is Q bar, so it can be done accordingly. Okay. So the load device is generic here, so it can be a resistor, it can be depletion type NMOS transistor, or it can be PMOS transistor. So depending upon the memory cell. So these days we are extensively using CMOS. So this thing is extensively changed. The next thing is the pass gate. These are called basically pass transistors. So are acting as data access switches. So this is resistive load SRAM cell here. The problem with this is area, power dissipation. Static power dissipation is high because you know that when we are using resistive load inverter, when this is on, this continuously dissipates power. So draining so much of power is not required these days. These days we are working on low power, so this is not feasible. And this is your depletion load NMOS SRAM cell. Again, it is having some problems related to your fabrication. Your power dissipation is there. not as compared to this, but still power dissipation is there. So then we move towards this particular kind of SRAM cell, that is full CMOS SRAM cell, and this is being extensively used. Here you can see two cross coupled inverters are being used. This is one inverter, this is another inverter, and here you can see output of first is actually acting as input of second, and output of second is actually acting as input of first. So suppose you make it this particular thing 1, so this becomes 0, so this is 0, so this becomes 1, and so on. It keeps on going like that. So that's how things are actually being done as far as your SRAM cell is being concerned. So this is just the basic thing about SRAM cell, how we come towards SRAM cell, what is the purpose of SRAM cell, what are the various things that lies in SRAM cell. So now next we move towards your SRAM cell using this particular thing. So this is now bigger picture of your SRAM cell. Till now we are just focusing on this region. Now here you can see we have pull-up transistors. So what is the purpose of these pull-up transistors? Basically to charge these bit lines. This is bit line, this is bit line bar, this is bit bar. So these two need to be charged. So that can be done with the help of this particular pull-up transistors. So here you can see they are being operated in a saturation mode. So they are being permanently charged. They are being permanently charged. So if you want to discharge them, they have to be done forcibly. Otherwise, they will be permanently charged. Now this is word line. It is being used to read and write signal. So this particular word line is being activated, and when it is activated, then these particular transistors M3 and M4 turns on. So that means whenever you want to perform any operation related to access the contents at node 1, this is node 1 and this is node 2, and if you want to access the contents at node 1 and node 2, then what you have to do is you have to activate these lines. So this is being provided by your decoder circuitry which you are having. So what you have to do is you have to activate this. So when it is activated, so M3 and M4 are on. So there is a connection between this capacitance and this particular node. So accordingly, you can read or write the signal. So it depends how actually things are being done. So we will be discussing about this in the coming slides, that how read and write operation is being done. This is just to give you the idea how things are being performed. So here you are having pull-up transistors. So they are being used to charge bit and bit bar lines, and also here you are actually providing this particular signal, word line or read select, so that you are actually row select, which you are actually going to access the contents of node 1 and node 2. So this can only be accessed when M3 and M4 are on. So M3 and M4 are on, then only these contents can be accessed. Otherwise, they cannot be accessed. So to perform that, you need the signal to be activated. So this is about this particular thing. So these are certain drawbacks, rather we can say some brief summary of these two contents of your two kinds of SRAM. So depletion load NMOS SRAM, 6 transistors, 1 poly, 1 metal. This is the technology being used. Cell size relatively small. Static characteristic was better than a resistive load cell. Static power consumption is there. Here you can see this is most popular, low static power, superior noise margins and switching speed. So that's why this particular cell is being preferred. So this is the difference between these two, depletion load and other thing. So here we came across a very good idea about your SRAM cell. So now we will be focusing on some other aspects in detail. So this is your full CMOS SRAM cell. So there are certain advantages very small static power dissipation limited by leakage current. This we already know that when your inverter is off, CMOS inverter is off, rather we can say, then there is no static power dissipation. And we also know that noise margin is higher for CMOS. So that is why the cell designed using CMOS is having large noise margin. And because of these advantages, we can operate it at low power supply, the one which I have designed in my thesis, being operated at 0.9 volts. And there are certain disadvantages: cell area slightly larger, and one problem is there, latch up phenomena is there. So there are certain problems, but can be discussed. Now coming towards the actual view of your CMOS SRAM cell. So these are two cross-coupled inverters. This is inverter 1, this is inverter 2, and we are having different transistors. M3 and M4 are access transistors. M1 and M5 are NMOS and PMOS respectively for transistor CMOS inverter 1. M2 and M6 are NMOS and PMOS respectively for CMOS inverter 2. And these are pull-up transistors, so they are grounded, so that means they are permanently on, so they keep on this particular thing charging. Then row select signal is being provided to word line so that M3 and M4 can be on and data can be accessed from the node 1 and node 2. So when we are using the term access, so it means either you can read the data or you can write the data. It depends what kind of operation you are going to perform. So there are certain points that are related to static read-write memory circuits. These are when this is not selected. So voltage level of the line RS is equal to 0. So these two transistors are off. Second thing is the simple latch circuit consists of two cross-connected inverters. So they are having two stable operating points and data is being held. So data does not change of its own. We have to apply certain things. Then two columns are there, C and CC, and all the word lines in the SRAM are inactive. The relatively large column capacitances are charged up by the column pull-up transistors MP1 and MP2 that we have seen in the previous slide. So these transistors operate in saturation. So steady state voltage level VC for both column is determined by the following relationship. So this is the relationship which actually decides the steady state voltage level VC. That means these columns having certain voltage, so that is being decided by the particular voltage VDD minus VC and VT naught gamma 2 phi f VC and this. So what is this? This is voltage level, then VC for voltage for the columns. So this is being decided by this particular thing. So these are pull-up transistors. This is VDD, and it's being decided by this particular expression. So although this is not being required, but you should know some idea about that. Being undergraduate student, you should have some idea how these things actually being considered. So this is your 6 transistor SRAM cell. So here you can see this is bit line, this is bit line bar, and these are your access transistors M5 and M6. Nomenclature is different than one we have discussed here, so that does not matter a lot. M1 and M2 are transistors related to 1, and M4 and M5 are transistors related to CMOS inverter 2. So Q naught, Q bar is being charged toward at node 1. This is being charged toward at node 2. Okay. So read operation, how read operation is actually being performed, that is the moment to be discussed right now. So here you can see when you want to read, so what kind of operation you are actually going to perform. So what you are going to assume that Q bar is 0, Q is equal to 1. So let's discuss this here. So Q bar is 0 and this is 1. So what is the first thing that is being actually proceeding? when we are actually going to perform any sort of operation. The first thing that happens is precharge is not required, they are permanently being charged. The other thing that is being expected is this write line or reads row select signal is high. So when this is high, what happens? What happens? This is on, this is on. Now, so initially we assume that this is 0, this is 1. So now what happens? When this is 0, we are actually performing the read operation, not the write operation. The data can be written in a different manner. Here we are actually only performing the read operation. So when this is on, here you are having a column capacitance CC, this is bit signal. So now what happens? If 0 is being stored here, this is on, this is on, this is 1. And here we are also having a capacitance. And already discussed with you people in the previous classes that the magnitude of this capacitance is almost 10 times of this node capacitance. So what happens when this is 0, this is on, then this particular capacitance will try to charge this particular node, or some difference is there. Okay, and because of that, what happens? There is some fluctuation. There is some fluctuation in the voltage of this particular capacitance. So that fluctuation, suppose you are having a bit line like this, and when your read operation is there in like this, so what is going to happen? So once this is there, so this is the normal thing that we are actually expecting. And when this signal is there, so this bit line fluctuates. So what is the reason for this fluctuation? This is 0. So this particular thing, this fluctuation in bit is actually being sensed with the help of sense amplifier. So sense amplifier says that if there is any fluctuation, fluctuation is not very big. It is in the form of millivolts, few millivolts, but good enough that it can be sensed intelligently and can be realized to say that 0 is being stored there. So this is how read operation is being performed. So once again, I am repeating the entire sequence. A read signal is there. So M5 and M6 is on. So this is 0. So because of that, this is high, this is low. So there is some fluctuation in the voltage because of this. Okay. So this fluctuation is being giving this bit to go momentarily for a low voltage. So this gives you an idea using sense amplifier that 0 is being stored there. Now question arises whether read operation is destructive or not, because it is going to charge it. No, that's not the thing, because this is high. So when this is on, so this is 1, this is 1, so there is no fluctuation here. So 1 is actually acting as an input for this. So that is keeping this particular system to be 0 after every cycle. So that's way, that thing, your signal will remain, contents of this will not be altered, as good as thing. Okay, now what are the other things that are expected in this function? So suppose this is 0, this is 0, so 0 at this particular node, so this is acting as input of this. So this is 0, so 0 volts means your voltage is lower than threshold voltage of M3. So that means M3 is off. M3 is off, M4 is on. Okay. So similarly, this is high. So this is making M1 to be on. This is making M1 to be on. Once again, here you can see this is 0. So 0 means threshold voltage is higher than 0. So this is off. This is off. That means VDD is giving you this particular node to be high. And when this node is high, then what happens? This is actually acting as input of this inverter, and this is greater than threshold voltage of this. So this is on. So this M1 is on. That means this keeps it permanently grounded. So that is why the contents will not be altered in case of 6 transistor SRAM cell. So this is about your read operation of your SRAM cell. So here you can see M1 is on, M4 is on, and your M2 is off and M3 is off, and M5, M6 are on when you're actually performing the read operation. So here you can see this is bit line bar, this is bit line 1. So this is your column capacitance, which is actually doing this entire procedure. So we have discussed about a read zero operation. So here you can see must carefully limit the allowed voltage rise on Q bar to a value that prevents the read upset condition from occurring while simultaneously maintaining acceptable circuit speed and area constraint. So here you can see read upset means your read should not disturb the data. So that is being maintained by keeping this WL ratios in such a manner so that this transistor is off, this transistor is on. So if this transistor is on, then only zero can be maintained. If this transistor turns on off in between, what happens? This will not be zero and it can become 1. So that's the problem. So these things need to be taken care when we are actually going to design SRAM cell. So there we have seen that to avoid read disturb, the voltage on node Q should remain below the trip point of the inverter pair for all process noise and operating conditions. So this should remain 0. Why 0? Because if this is 0, this is being used for this inverter here. So that means this is off. If this becomes higher, then entire things will be disturbed. So that is what actually designing is all about. How we are actually keeping things under control. So this is the cell ratio being preferred, that your WL ratio for this transistor 1 over WL ratio of this is to be given by the particular equation. But right now this is not being required by you people being undergraduate student, but you should know that there should be a designing thing, that how you can keep the WL ratio of these two transistors so that you are actually achieving the particular condition. And what is the particular condition? In between operation, there should not be turning on of the device without the desire of your designer. So that is how you can achieve them. So today we have discussed about your read operation and other aspects of SRAM cell design. So in the next video, which I am uploading in the evening, we will be discussing about how you can actually read and write the data, what are the various conditions that need to be met,